Our next guest says midlife shouldn't be a crisis and can actually be a powerful opportunity to reinvent. Joining us now is Jennifer Brouwer. She's the founder of Whilewoods Retreat. So Jennifer, it's so good to have you here today. To begin, I just want to have you, lay the groundwork for us a little bit. Is midlife crisis for women a prevalent issue? How common is it?
I think it's very common, but I don't actually call it a crisis. I call it a pivot. It's one of those interesting times in your life where we should celebrate it. We should reflect on the fact that it's a next chapter. Our kids are grown and we have work to do and we have our whole lives ahead of us. So it's a time to kind of accept the past as the past and say, okay, what are we going to start and do today? That's great.
So why isn't it a crisis in your view? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, I think that it's just a matter of saying like, okay, we have nurtured our children, we've given whatever we can to everyone, we're over pleasers probably, givers, and it's a time to kind of get a little bit of ourselves back. And so what's really interesting about it is, you have this time in your life where you can reflect and your kids are starting to grow, and then you say, okay, well, what else is left for me? What does this life have? What do I do now? Or, are you changing jobs? Are you happy in your work? Are you happy in your marriage? Are you happy in your life? And I think that's just a common time where people reflect, where you start to be 50s and say, okay, is this it? Or are we going to move forward and find something really new and exciting? And thankfully, I was really lucky where, your pain sometimes can be your purpose. And when you find your purpose, then you're able to, help other people and take a look at what it is that you want to do next. And for me, I decided that it was going to be a retreat center.
So those are really important questions to ask, whether you're happy in life. But what if you find yourself, answering that question not so positively? What if the life you have built up to this point is not exactly what you wanted?
That's okay. I just say that now's the time to pivot. Now's the time to say, okay, well, I did X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to continue that behavior. I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to see what is what. And then I'm going to say what I do want to do. I think that, it's funny because people will come to the retreat and people plan a vacation sometimes more than they plan their lives. And so it's important to look at what is possible, where you want to go, where you want to be, who you want to become. Like, what are you doing to achieve that goodness in your life? And once you kind of figure that out and map it out a little bit and meet other women, connect in a community, it's amazing how much, you can kind of figure it out and pivot.
So I know you don't call it a crisis, but is there a role that society's expectations of women play in all this? I'm wondering.
I think so. I think it's just kind of one of those things where women can feel a little bit invisible as they get a little bit older. And so, I'm all about empowerment and, having people take a look and say, look, I've got lots of good years left in me. My children are grown. And what can I do to help other people? What can I do to live my best life? What can I do to help someone else live their best life? And so that was what my intention was behind Whilewoods.
Okay, so speaking of empowerment, can you speak about what are some of the invisible burdens that women carry, and how do you let go of those burdens?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is people pleasing, overgiving, and really just being in service to everyone but yourself. I think as women, we tend to put ourselves last for a really long time. And I think it's important to finally come to the conclusion that we are important and it's time to make sure that we have some gas left in the tank and that we take care of ourselves and our health and our wellness so that our mindset can also be really clear and that we can move forward.
So how do you arrive at that mindset? What if your starting point is, you're feeling guilt or shame sometimes because of the circumstances that surrounds you?
Absolutely. Well, sadly, most of the times when you arrive at that point, like I said earlier, your pain has kind of come from your purpose. And so for me, I hit a little bit of a health crisis and a little bit of a brick wall. And sometimes that just kind of is a blessing in disguise that smartens you up, so to speak. So it allows you to slow down. I ran an interior design firm. I was a nurse before. I have 3 children. So you can imagine that my pace was fairly fast. You know, we're in New York City. We were just talking about how quick it is. But sometimes what we need to actually do is unlearn all the bad habits of the past and slow down and be mindful and, you know, look at your life, look at your faith, look at your heart, and look at what it was that you maybe weren't doing that you need to do moving forward.
So I guess the biggest question here is then, how do you unlearn those old habits?
How do you unlearn? Well, you leave the past in the past and you say, if not now, when? And you start anew. And today's a new day. And you just begin kind of making a plan. You think about who you want to be in the future. It's not about who you are now or who you were. It's about who do you want to be? What do you need to see in your life? Do you need to see more travel? Do you need to see more friends? Do you need to see, you know, faith? Do you need to see community? What are the things that you want? And then figure out what those stepping stones are to make them happen. I think that, you know, we can all learn multiple things. There's a million self-help books. There's a million, you know, different things you can do. You can go on vacation, but is that really working on yourself? Are you taking the time to pause and ask yourself the appropriate questions about where you see your future and really what you want out of the rest of your life? So
how do you know your life is too fast-paced? And how do you know when you have slowed down?
Well, I think I'm probably speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but I think most people are fairly too fast-paced. I think if we all reflect, we could say that we could slow down and be a little bit more mindful. I mean, you know, it maybe sounds like a cliche to say that you need to be in the present, but being in the present is about smelling the flowers, seeing the birds, recognizing that this moment is precious and that you're blessed and grateful and that you can move forward with, you know, an idea in mind of how you want to be in the future. You know, what's the best person that you want to become? You know, one of the exercises that we do is we say, you know, think of someone that you really love and admire, and what are the attributes about them that you do love and admire? And do you hold those? And most of the time, if you see them, you hold them, but you may not necessarily see them playing out as a practice in your life. And that's just a very simple place to start. So we do offer retreats and the opportunity for women to come and connect with other women so that they can kind of do it as a group together. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't have to be hard. I think that, you know, one of the things that I was saying earlier was it is difficult to make friends in your 50s. You know what I mean? And, you know, once your kids grow and the sports are gone and, you know, you may not have time to play in another sport yourself or even with your kids' sports. And so it's important to kind of take a look at how to build community. And that's one of the things that Whilewoods is really great at is we encourage women to come alone, because when you come alone, you don't have any airs or facades, or you're able to dig into your own work, you're able to answer those questions, and you're able to meet other women and really find your people.
You brought this up a couple of times of faith.
Yes.
I'm just curious, what role does that play in your mind?
Oh, man. It's funny how you asked me that. I wouldn't have said, I would have had a very different answer a few weeks ago, but faith is really important. It's important for your heart. It's important for community. It's important to bond and to, you know, have that overarching vision. And it really just expands your heart and allows love in. And I think that that's also a bond that you can create with other people.
Okay, just one final question.
Sure.
Tell us a bit more about Whilewoods Retreats.
Whilewoods. Well, I'm a little bit biased, but needless to say, I love it. It's a real passion and purpose project for me. The name came from to while in the woods, and so it's a beautiful property on 200 feet of water, and there's hiking and nature, and it's very much, it's a spectacular and magical place where you can just really come and finally be. And so there's no other place that you could be more present than at Whilewoods.
Okay, well, I look young, but I'm actually married. It might surprise some people, but maybe I'll ask my wife to go to Whilewoods Retreats to see how she likes it.
I would love that, and I'm sure she would love it also.
Yeah, she probably needs it. She has a lot of stress, you know, with work and everything. Everything's fast-paced.
Of course.
I'll let her know.
I would love to see her.
Okay, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.